Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. We're joining you a little late this week. It's 8:25 on the East Coast. We had a couple of little issues here, but we're on, and we're happy to be with all of you. And we're in the NBA playoff season. Sixers are taking on the Washington Wizards, and we didn't know that last week. And they won the first game. They squeaked out a 7-point victory. They were a little rusty in the beginning, but they came around. Chris, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? You're right. They 7-point victory, and a lot of people were expecting it to be a lot bigger or wanting it to be a lot bigger. But a playoff victory is a playoff victory.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad playoff win.
No.
So, that's what you expected with the play-in tournament and, the Sixers getting a week off. Of course they were going to be rusty. They only had themselves to play against, so you can never duplicate game speed. But,
yeah, and it's not like an 8th seed is automatically a bad team anymore. Just look out west.
Right. 7. Yeah, the 7 and the 8. I actually think Memphis is going to win that series.
It would not surprise me. And I think if people go back and listen to some of our previous episodes, we were discussing the fact that the Jazz are not that, or a team that's going to go deep in the playoffs.
No, they're not your typical number one seed. They're not your 65 win team. They did win what? They win 50 games.
Yeah,
52 games, but they shot a lot of threes. They made a lot of threes. They played really good at home. And they're missing their best player. Donovan Mitchell's out. So that's going to hurt them, of course. That's 25, 30 points a game they're not going to have. Now, he may be back for the second game. But Memphis is a good team. Memphis has a good coach. They have a good game plan. They take the ball to the basket. They drive the ball. They don't take many outside shots. They take high percentage shots. I watched them play against Golden State, and that's what they did. They were scoring every possession. In today's NBA, there's no defense. So you're able to get to the basket, you're gonna be in a lot of games.
Right, and that's one thing where we've had some discussion about the Sixers that frustrates us, where it seems like at times that perimeter defense isn't there, and other teams are able to get those open threes, and if they're hitting open threes, the Sixers find themselves in some trouble. And it's one of those things to where the Sixers turn around and try to play the same way to match a team shooting threes for threes, and if my math's right, if you make 2 layups, that's 4 points, versus if you miss 2 threes, that's 0 points. So, you're right. Scoring sometimes in the NBA is not as difficult as other teams make it, where shooting that outside shot does not always have to be something that's done.
Right. And yeah, today's game it is, but they're going with the old style. So let's get back to the Sixers. Let's talk Ben Simmons, of course. That's the.
I liked what I saw. I know a lot of people had some complaints about what they saw, but if he's not going to be putting up 18 to 20 points in a playoff game, what he did is exactly what he needs to do then.
Yeah, I mean, he was responsible for 45 points. I mean, if you count his assists and his points. I don't know exactly how many of the assists led to threes, but I'm figuring around at least 5 of them did, so that's another 5 points on top of the 30.
Yeah, he played some good defense, and also he had 15 rebounds as well.
Right.
So.
And how many players in the history of the league are going to be able to get 6 points? Not the 6 points, of course. 15 assists and 15 rebounds in a playoff game. That's got to be a short list.
Yeah, you're right. The other thing, too, is if Tobias Harris is going to be putting up those points and Ben Simmons is going to be doing that, the Sixers are going to find themselves in the NBA championship.
Well, of course, the defense is going to have to step up against Brooklyn or Milwaukee. I mean, it's not. We've talked all along that it's definitely Brooklyn. It could be Milwaukee. They're hot right now. They blew Miami off the court last night.
Yeah, if Milwaukee as a team can start hitting their outside shots that like we've been just talking about, yeah, they're going to be a very very tough team. And like you said, with the way teams seem to slack off playing defense, Brooklyn Milwaukee games, those games could be 150 to 140 per games each time out.
Hey, Shane. Shane's saying he's late to the show. You're not late. You're right on time. We're just getting started.
Yeah, did he have a question for us, or he was just checking in?
Nah, just saying he loves us. Loyal listener. We thank
That's
you.
right.
We appreciate everybody listening. So, Embiid, we had foul trouble, in the first half. He was limited, of course, and he still ended up scoring 31 points. Am I right?
Yeah, when I had looked at a thing before the game started, I saw something I come across. I guess it was from DraftKings, where what they were putting out there, I think it was a plus 250 for him to have combined points and rebounds 50, and he didn't reach that. But that's what they were looking for him to get in game. A possibility, and of course, I think he would have reached that if he hadn't had the foul trouble. But that's something you can look at and think that was a game one situation and probably won't happen again.
Yeah, but then you think, like, if he didn't get in foul trouble, the Sixers might have blown them out, and he might not have played the fourth quarter anyway. So that happened a lot during the regular season.
Right, so he got plenty of rest anyway.
Yeah, it was a good thing.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, which is just, it's the way the playoffs are, and it's been this way with the NBA. Just having 2 days off in between, that seems like a little bit much. It'd be nice if there was a game tonight, but
Exactly. It's all done for TV, so they can basically televise every game.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm looking at the
they'll be back at it tomorrow in Philadelphia, and I would look for the Sixers to even have the same type of game or even a better game tomorrow night. I don't think Washington has much more than what they showed in game one.
I think this is the blowout game right here.
Yeah, and I do too, but every time we think that something else crops up, or it seems to be one of those games where the Wizards are keeping it close all the way through, and it's just one of those things to where you look at the first quarter and if the Sixers are down, it's fun to read the Twitter that, oh my goodness, how can this be going on? Here we go again. This team's going to be a second round exit, and if we're down to halftime, they're going to lose this series in 6 games, and I know that.
And that's usually us too, but I don't feel that way this year.
No, I don't either, and the thing too is, I know it might be a little presumptuous to look at the second round with it being the Knicks or the Hawks, but that should not be a problem either.
No, not at all.
If the Wizards, Knicks, and Hawks end up being a problem for the Philadelphia 76ers, well,
major
then the
changes
process really has failed.
Exactly. You'd have to make major off-season changes. I don't think you could come back again with this team.
No, you're exactly right. So, and that's the thing too. A healthy Milwaukee team that's firing on all cylinders can give the Sixers a lot of trouble. And of course, the way Brooklyn is stacked with the 3 stars that they have, of course they can beat the Sixers as well. Losing to one of those 2 teams obviously is not something we want to see happen, but of course that's not going to be the same as if they have major struggles in round 1 or 2.
Right, and I can accept a 7-game loss to Brooklyn. Nothing else. I couldn't take losing to anybody else, Milwaukee included.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, depending on how they play. And the last time the Sixers had that 7-game series, we know what happened with the Kawhi Leonard shot on the road.
Right.
But if you think back to that series 2 years ago, that was one of those where the Sixers would win big at home and then they would lose on the road, and it just seemed like, wow, it was one of those things to where game to game, the team the Philadelphia team just looked different game to game.
Yeah, and they were missing veteran leadership, and I think they've added that this year with Dwight Howard.
And the thing too veteran leadership is one thing, but also they hopefully when we get to that point, or when we look back on this, we say that they have the right head coach.
Right. And I think I've said it before, but I definitely have to admit I was wrong about Danny Green. I didn't think he would be the contributor that he is. His defense, his clutch 3-point shooting, the spacing that he creates. He's been a good addition. Now I see why he's won 3 championships.
Yeah, and how cool would that be for him to win one with the Lakers last year, and then move to Philadelphia this year and win another one? And that would be cool. Him and Dwight Howard to be able to do that.
And speaking of the Lakers, looks like they're in trouble out west.
They're in a lot of trouble. They're playing tonight, or is that tomorrow night as well?
They're tonight. They're the late game tonight.
Yeah,
10 o'clock.
Hey, Chris Paul's good to go?
Don't know. I know he was injured in the first game. Wow, look at Brooklyn put up 71 points in the first half tonight.
Wow.
71-47 at halftime.
A lot of defense in that game, I guess.
Well, there is for the Nets. They held Boston to 47 points.
Wow.
Oh, they're just a one-man team, though, Jason Tatum.
Well, they deserve a four-game sweep after what happened last year without Ben Simmons.
Yeah. It says Chris Paul had a shoulder injury. Nothing about tonight, though. I'll get the staff in the back to look up whether he's playing or not.
Yeah, see what his availability is for tonight. Hopefully he's in there playing and is relatively healthy.
Yeah, he's definitely been a difference maker for the Suns this year.
Yeah, and going back to the Sixers, it's one of those things to where I see a lot of people making comments, and it's a comment that has been going on for a number of months now, but Doc Rivers just playing too much of the bench at one time and playing them for too long a period of time. Now, I think that's something that you can get away with here in the first round, possibly even in the second round. But that's going to be something that's not going to exist once the Sixers get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And right, Chris Paul is not listed on the injury report, so
okay, cool.
He's going to be a go. It was just a stinger to his right shoulder. He'll be good to go.
Yeah, hopefully he don't get tangled up with LeBron again, because that led to a little bit of excitement. But
speaking of Doc Rivers, he had some political comments after the first game that really didn't get much publicity.
It did. It was trending, I think, a little bit on Twitter, but it didn't get as much publicity as some other comments he's made in the past.
Yeah, I think he should just stay out of politics and worry about coaching basketball, to tell you the truth. He shouldn't be making comments like that. But.
Well, and he's one of those guys to where it seems like with the way he's come across, and the fact that he's had so much experience in the league, and I guess to the way people may look up to him, and comments that he's made before, it's now one of those things I think it's expected of him. And you're right, it might be one of those things to where it's just better to say, I've made my opinions known in the past. I think everybody should know where I stand. Let's talk about the fact that Joel Embiid is healthy, and we're looking at him being the NBA Championship Finals MVP. Let's talk about that.
Exactly.
That would actually be a refreshing thing to hear. Instead of, as soon as that door is open, to say, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely go forward and talk about this." It was about how many fans were in the stands, correct?
Yeah, he said. Yeah, he mentioned that it sounded more like 30,000 than 10,000. And he said that counting like the Republicans, which really doesn't make much sense because the Republicans didn't do the counting.
No, and that goes back to when Trump was inaugurated. How many people were there?
No, he means for the votes.
Oh, I thought he was saying how many people were in attendance when.
Is that what he was? Is that what he was talking?
It goes back to counting the votes.
I'm really not sure. Now that you say that, that could be too. I'm not really sure what he was referring to.
No. You're correct on that. Yeah. No, I think the issue was more or less the way some of the Democrats were counting the votes, and in some of the precincts. And,
right.
Yeah. Just a comment that probably, I guess expected from Doc Rivers, but maybe one that he should refrain from saying. Because Republicans buy tickets, Republicans buy jerseys, Republicans buy merchandise, and Republicans watch the NBA.
Exactly.
And all that is going back to what Michael Jordan said so many years ago, where he wasn't going to make any real political comments, and he was so smart. And what he said was, "Well, Republicans buy sneakers too."
Exactly. Well, out of Florida, we got Vince Velasquez with 6 scoreless innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 Ks.
Yeah, when you would mention a Phillies pitcher who has put up 6 scoreless innings, does Vince Velasquez pop into your head?
Never.
No, and the thing is, recently Vince Velasquez, if you look, I think they put it right up there what he's done.
Yes.
He's had 1 earned run in his per game in his last 4 starts, 1 earned run or less counting tonight. And boy, wouldn't it be nice if like Aaron Nola could do something like that? Now, of course, the 4th and 5th starters are not going to do that, but Vince being a number 4 starter now, but Anderson and Moore were never going to be able to do that.
No, I think Moore's been basically relegated to the bullpen now. I think he's probably a better pitcher than Chase Anderson.
Yeah, I believe so. And my frustration is with Aaron Nola. He can't put up a scoreless first inning anymore.
No, he's ever since that. I think a couple weeks ago when he looked like he was sweating and he was struggling out there. Something's off with him. I don't know.
I think what it is, it's a situation to where the way that he pitches and the fact that he does not have an overpowering fastball, it's caught up to him.
Yeah.
People are willing to lay off some of that off-speed stuff, or they're willing to sit there and wait, knowing what's coming, whether it is that off-speed pitch that's going to catch too much of the zone, or they're going to sit and wait and get into a count where they can hit his fastball, which his fastball actually is not a major league fastball anymore.
Sounds familiar. Sounds like a Hector Neris.
Yeah, it does, and it sounds like a lot of guys who come through the Phillies system.
Yeah, 2 pitches.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things too where it's so frustrating as we're transitioning into the Phillies now, because look at Spencer Howard. He's a guy who had so much promise coming through the Phillies organization. The guy's not a major league pitcher. I'm sorry, he's not. I don't want to hear he should be in the bullpen. No. The guy is just not a Major League Baseball pitcher. There's guys you can tell who have it and guys who don't. I mean, if you're throwing 97 in inning 1 and throwing 92 in inning 3, you're not a Major League pitcher.
I heard he lost his breath covering first base.
What did he lose?
He lost his breath. He got tired from running over to cover first on a ground ball. And
that is a long distance. The pitcher's back to first.
And that affected his velocity. Now, it makes you think back to Roy Halladay used to jog up and down the steps when he wasn't pitching to stay in shape. But I don't think Spencer Howard's running laps around the stadium on his off days.
No, I don't think he is. And I'm to the point now where going through this every year, there is always, it seems to be an excuse. But you can make excuses all you want. The team doesn't make the playoffs. That's just reality.
That's right. And I can pretty much guarantee they're not going to make the playoffs this year.
Right. There's no chance that the Phillies make the playoffs this year. There's just too much going on with the team. There's too much with this team that just doesn't fit together that leads to winning. You look at the lineup they put up there tonight, and that's more of most of those players are AAA players, or not saying that, but that would definitely look at it. You would look at that roster and say that's a rebuilding team. That would be a team that's rebuilding. Now, obviously, they have the JT's out, Didi's out, and Bryce is out. They're all on the injured list. But I don't know if the team's any better with them in there.
I mean, it's a little better with Bryce in there. I mean, he still gets on base. I mean, I know he's struggling, but Realmuto doesn't. I mean, Realmuto's going to give you more than Knapp gives you. But the team, it's just not fun watching them. It's not. It doesn't do it for me watching the Sixers. I mean the Phillies. It's just.
Well, what's happened here recently, and it takes away completely from any enjoyment of watching the team, is the fact in games where even games that they're winning, they score in 1 to 2 runs per game. I mean, they score
innings.
In 1 or 2 innings.
Exactly.
And the other innings, it's just like there's like this just non-existent.
They don't even hit the ball. I've never seen a team strike out at this rate before.
No, and it's amazing that they're not leading the league in strikeouts. But I think the team leading all of Major League Baseball in strikeouts might be the best team in baseball, and that's Tampa Bay.
They've won, 13 straight games?
Yeah, and you can't really look to Tampa Bay and say, well, they have this star and that star.
You know what Tampa Bay has, though? A bullpen.
They have a bullpen, and they have a team that gels together, and they have a team that seems to they seem to every year somehow play above what expectation is. Yep. And I think a lot of times that's what you need to look for when you're looking at teams in professional sports. Yes, there's expectations on teams now. What we've come accustomed to in Philadelphia is teams play lower than what's expected, especially with the Phillies. And it'd just be nice if they started playing above expectation once in a while.
Yeah, they never do. And it's always the same teams. It's always the Oakland A's. They're always, 10 games over 500 at least. And Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's 19-7 on the road, 11-12 at home. You know what travels? Pitching. Pitching travels. Relief pitching travels.
Yes, it does. And an ability. Tampa Bay's a team too who has that ability to run as well. They don't. I don't know if they steal as many bases as teams used to in the past, but they're not afraid to steal a base here and there too. Which we saw the Phillies do that last night, but it didn't translate too well into them winning it. I mean, it helped them get the 2 runs that they got early on in the game last night, but it didn't help once they got down by 7 runs late in the game.
Well, that has been their lately. They've been running a lot more, and they've been successful. I think they said they're 30 for 33 on steals this year. That's like 90%.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you with that because it came to mind last night, and I'm not looking to see if he's coming back to the Phillies anytime soon. But when you think of stealing with the Phillies, Roman Quinn, but how long is he still hurt, or is it one of those situations where they're just going with Odubel because he's hitting the ball?
They're going to go with Odubel. He's a much better hitter. Last I had heard, Adam Hazley's also trying to get back.
Right, and if Odubel keeps doing what he's doing, I mean, he was in the leadoff spot tonight.
The Phillies actually reinstated Quinn from the 10-day injured list today, 5 hours ago.
Oh well, okay, maybe he's there tonight.
Pinch runner.
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe even defense. I mean, he's not a bad late inning defense replacement.
No, especially with Harper being out, and putting him. I know it's the difference between center and right field, but I'd rather have him late innings in right field than Matt Joyce.
Yeah, definitely. Or even Brad Miller.
Now, of course, in batting, they're almost the same.
Yeah. You know who else has been awful lately has been Kinsler. Kinsler can't get me or you out right now. He's horrible. He's like an Adam Morgan.
It just seems to be a situation where these guys come over and
their arms are dead.
Is it just a situation to where whoever the Phillies put out there, they just seem not to succeed or live up to or be as good as they were previously? I don't know. I don't know if it's the coaching, if it's the pitching coaches that they have, if it's a philosophy that the Phillies have. I'm not sure. It was like the big off-season signing was Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley is another guy who's struggling. I mean, I know he's just coming back from injury, but I don't have any faith in Archie Bradley going forward.
I mean, yeah, going from history, I don't have any faith. I would like to see it, but like you said, who knows? He already got hurt once. He pitched the other night, right? He pitched a scoreless ninth.
No, he gave up a home run, I think, on the second pitch of the inning. Now, the Phillies were up 6-1 at the time, so it didn't matter. But
I'm getting asked by one of my friends right now, should I put 500 on Miami plus 410? I thought he was talking about the Miami Heat. He's talking about the Marlins.
Well, 1 out, bottom of the 7th, with Sam Coonrod on the mound, who got hit around in Citizens Bank Park his last appearance. He gave up 2 home runs before you could blink in that game. But he's been the best guy out of the bullpen for the Phillies here recently. Now, if he's going to pitch the seventh, I guess Brogdon will pitch the eighth. And if it stays as a 2-run lead for the Phillies, you would see Hector Neris in the ninth. So that might not be a bad idea to put something on the Marlins.
Yeah, at plus 410, you're going to get back 2,040. And any kind of base runners or activity by the Marlins is going to drop it to probably around 200, and you're going to get an instant cash out. So unless Coonrod gets a 1-2-3 inning and the Phillies score more runs, it's a good move.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm trying to think. Neris hasn't been in recently. He came in the other night, and I think he got an easy 1-2-3 inning to close the game. But the Phillies had a big lead at the time.
Right. And there's a walk.
Yeah, there's a walk. That always starts it.
We also got Dallas and the Clippers playing tonight in Game 2. Dallas took the first game of the series, just like they did last year. They took the first game against the Clippers, and the Clippers came back to win the series before losing to Denver in the conference semifinals.
Yeah, that was the 3-1 lead that the Clippers ended up losing as well.
Doc Rivers. That's why Doc Rivers is the Sixers coach right now, or else we probably have Ty Lue. So
you're probably exactly right. And yeah, I don't look at a situation where a 3-1. Doc Rivers has had a history, or a couple different times his teams have lost 3-1 leads. Hey, let's get the 3-1 lead for the Sixers, and we'll go from there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think we'd have to worry about it in the first series. It would definitely get a lot of attention. It was the conference finals, and we get a 3-1 lead.
Guys, did you watch any of the Hawks Knicks the other night? That was an outstanding game.
I didn't watch it. I kind of was listening to it. Long story.
Okay.
No, I don't have a TV in the other house in the bedroom, so I was listening.
Oh, no.
I was listening to the TV. I heard the ending.
Yeah, that was an interesting game to watch, and it was actually being a Philadelphia fan and just stepping back. I know this probably might not be the most popular opinion, but it's cool to see the Garden kind of filled with people in the Knicks in the playoffs.
Oh, I could hear the noise. Yeah, it was really loud. It seemed like it was a full stadium.
And they kept flashing over to Spike Lee, and they kept going over to all the different celebrities that were there,
Wow.
and Tracy Morgan and all that. And then it was just great at the end when that shot went in with 0.9 seconds left, and it just took the air out of the building.
Just like Reggie Miller in the '90s all over again.
Yeah, and they were killing the Knicks all over social media, and Julius Randle, of course. But I do expect the Knicks to win that series.
Really? Even with the one game? You think they could go on the road and win one?
I expect the Knicks to win big the next game, and then I would see maybe Atlanta picking up one more win. I think the Knicks will win that, but then again, I could be proven wrong.
I mean, it was a toss-up before the series. I mean, with Atlanta winning the first, it's going to be tough for the Knicks to. Yeah, they're definitely going to have to win the next game.
Oh, if they lose the next one, yeah, then it's almost over.
Yeah, I don't know that they can go on the road and win a playoff game. But remains to be seen.
I don't know. But I would think being in Atlanta is not that tough of a place to play on the road in the playoffs. Versus going, say, to Philadelphia or going to Miami, or even going to, or even in the past having to go to Toronto and play.
Yeah, I'm about to bring that up on the show. How's the There's another hit for the Marlins. How is the Stanley Cup going to work out? If a Canadian team makes it to the Stanley Cup, are they allowed to travel?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because there's going to have to be somebody from Canada eventually play an American team because they're all in the same division.
I don't know, and it's an interesting thing because this weekend, I'm sorry, it was not. I'm thinking of Tampa Bay, who the Phillies are playing this weekend. The Phillies just got done playing recently the Blue Jays and playing them in Florida. And
Right.
the Blue Jays will be going back to Buffalo because they can't go back to Canada.
Exactly.
Well, how about that catch? The ex-Phillies catcher with a base hit. Jorge Alfaro, I mean, he just kills the Phillies when he plays them.
He hasn't played the last couple games. Leone.
No, I think he's just come off IL
Oh,
today.
okay. I was wondering why they had Leone playing catching, the former Red Sox catcher.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why.
Okay. I've been watching a lot. I've been watching a lot of NHL, the playoffs. I was interested in Tampa Bay, of course, because they were my pick to win it all. They ran into a 20-year-old rookie goaltender last night, his first career playoff game. He's only played 4 games in the NHL, and he held the Lightning to 1 goal. The first shot of the game they scored on, that was it.
Yeah, that seems like something that would happen to the Flyers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Now I feel like Florida has the momentum now, and if they win the 6th game, they're probably going to win the series. Crazy.
Yeah, hockey, once you get into the Stanley Cup playoffs, those things can happen, and hockey's one of those things, you're right, where that hot goalie can just turn a series around.
Exactly.
The team that I thought was going to win, it's already out. So much for rallying around Ovechkin and him carrying a team.
Yeah.
They got their 1 cup. Washington should be happy with that because after this season, it's going to be a downhill slide, I think, for the Capitals. Now, they'll still be a good team and a playoff team, but a contender, I don't think so.
Yeah, they're getting old quick. Winnipeg actually swept the Oilers, and the best player in the league this year, Connor McDavid. So that didn't really help Edmonton out.
No, it didn't, and that's. I still think that's one of the coolest teams, one of the coolest symbols, the Winnipeg Jets. Hockey was missing them for a number of years when a team had left there. The Winnipeg Jets, I guess they moved to Phoenix.
They were the Coyotes.
Yes. And they moved to Phoenix, and then once Atlanta wasn't able to keep their team, the Atlanta team moved back up there.
That's right, the Thrashers. I don't even think of the Thrashers. That's right. They just quietly disappeared.
I don't think the Atlanta Thrashers ever won a playoff series.
well, who did the Hartford Whalers become?
The Carolina Hurricanes.
The Hurricanes. That's right.
Yes. Yeah, and it's amazing because the Quebec Nordiques became the Colorado Avalanche.
Right.
And the Minnesota North Stars became the Dallas Stars, obviously,
Right.
and Minnesota got another team.
A while.
And
Colorado used to have a team years ago, right? The Rockies, they became the Devils, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. The Colorado Rockies became the New Jersey Devils.
And then they became a baseball team.
Yes, a baseball team who was 2-17 on the road, and they beat the Mets last night.
Wow.
up in New York, and I think they're giving the Mets some trouble tonight too.
I mean, the NL East is basically the same as the NFC East. It's going to be whoever, doesn't want it the most. It seems like it's going to win it.
Right, or it's going to be a situation where a team's going to win 8 out of 10, and then they might put it out of reach.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be the Braves. Once they get their act together, I think it's going to be Atlanta.
Yeah, I would think it happened.
Can't see the Nationals doing it.
My bet.
Can't see the Phillies doing it. Can't see the Marlins doing it. And the Mets are just, like you said, they're gonna win. A game they're not supposed to. Then they'll lose 3. They're gonna get swept by a Rockies team.
Yeah, that Washington team is probably another team that's going to.
Yeah, it'll
They're going to
flounder.
be 10 to 15 games under 500.
Yep.
I don't see them pulling another 2019 where they may. I think in that season they were maybe 16, 17 games under 500 at one point and came back to win
In the World
to win
Series.
it all.
Yeah. Well, they had players.
They had the pitching, didn't they?
They had Anthony Rendon play great that season.
Yes.
What happened to him? He's another one that went to Anaheim and stopped.
It's Death Valley out there, isn't it?
I know it is. Pujols, never was the same. It's almost like if you're not Mike Trout, you're not going to be good. Ohtani's been great, but I'm trying to find Rendon's stats. It's almost like he's retired. They gave him a ton of money.
They just don't get the starting pitching out there or the bullpen.
No, they didn't. Rendon, in 2 seasons there, he only played 52 games last year in a shortened season. He hit 286. This year he's hitting 234 in 26 games. That's coming off a year where he hit 319 for the 412 on base percentage in Washington and finished 10th in MVP voting, 3rd the year before.
Yeah, amazing. He was someone who, it was one of those things where it's talked about maybe coming to Philadelphia, but Alec Bohm was the third baseman of the future, which he's not, unfortunately.
Right. And unfortunately, the Angels are into Rendon for $36 million next year, $38 million from the next 4 years after that, from 2023 to 2026. $38 million a year.
Well, that makes that Bryce Harper deal not look so bad, or the JT Realmuto, because they're getting about the same amount of production from both of them, and yeah, and that was one of those things too. We didn't mention it earlier, and for those of you out there who are listening to us or who download this, you are listening to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris right here on IE Sports Radio. IE Sports Radio is your direct feed for all that's sports. Yeah, Bryce Harper went on the IL today, and I'm not sure what they said the injury was. I don't know if it was a back injury or something like that.
They said it was a forearm contusion.
Okay.
I don't know how that puts you on the injured list.
Well, Cash, he's not injured. He's not playing well, so they put him on the IL. That's happened to plenty of players. I mean, I'm surprised that there's people who follow baseball who don't understand people can go on the IL without being technically injured.
Hey, you're talking about Harper?
Yeah.
You think they're just resting him?
Yes.
Huh.
I don't think he's been the same since he's took that ball to the face, and I think he's lost something. I mean, I know everyone's saying, well, he's hurt, he's had this injury, he's had that. I mean, they rested him 4 games at home 2 weeks ago against the Brewers, and that didn't help. I don't see if he was really hurt, he should have gone on the IL soon after that, because I just think there's something else going on with him right now, and that's the only thing I can trace it back to. Now, I know he goes into these slumps every year, but it's just the look on his face. I mean, he's not playing anywhere near the defense that he's played before. Just something just doesn't look right. And then again, I've never taken a 97 mile an hour fastball to the face, so that can change your attitude.
Yeah, it can. I mean, he seemed that he bounced up and he was okay. Yeah.
Oh no, I agree, and right. It wasn't nothing that there was a lot broken or anything like that, but it just I don't know. I mean, like you say, if it was one of those things to where he was injured to the fact that he needs to go on the 10-day IL, he should have been on that a couple days to a week ago, because this isn't something that just happened.
I think he could do the retroactive thing if he hasn't played.
Yeah, and it's another thing too, where JT Realmuto had the same thing, where it's just another bruise that's putting them on the IL. Now his was different and is a legitimate injury. And I'm not saying Bryce doesn't have an injury to his forearm, but I don't think it's one of those things to where if he was producing, I think this is something he fights through. He's struggling, so he's not fighting through it. That's what I think is going on.
All right, it's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. The Phillies have 2 hits through 8 innings, and they are winning.
And 2 runs and a good pitching performance out of Vince to start the game.
It seems like, most Philly fans are just all on edge as usual. It's every game's there's never a comfortable game with this team. There's never.
The last one was the first game in Atlanta, and that's going back a few weeks.
Yeah.
Now, did you see tonight, which I was going to bring up to you anyway, and they put it on the Phillies broadcast for the Philly flashback, that in 2000 and I think it was 2011, on this date in 2011, it was the longest game ever at Citizens Bank Park.
Really? Inning-wise or time-wise?
Time. I think innings too. It was 19 innings. It was the
Dodgers?
No, it was the Reds, and it was Wilson Valdez with the.
That's right.
The first player since Babe Ruth who started the game at a position and became the winning pitcher.
Was that a 1-0 game?
It may have been 2-1.
2-1. Back then, it seemed like every time they played the Reds back then, it was always a low-scoring game.
I know the only base runner that he allowed in the inning he pitched was a hit batter, and that was Scott Rowland, who he hit with a pitch.
I do remember that. Here's
Wild. Raul Ibanez with a sac fly that drove in Jimmy Rollins to win the game.
Wow. Wilson Valdez. It seems like yesterday. It was 10 years ago.
Amazing, isn't it?
We got Wild Jose Alvarado on the mound.
He's coming in instead of Brogdon.
Yeah.
Wow.
18 innings, 13 walks for Wild Jose.
See, now I think this is something that we could discuss.
What's that?
Because in years past, if he comes in and throws 4 pitches that go to the backstop, the manager comes out and takes him out. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, right. You can't. You have to face 3 batters.
Right.
Unless he fakes an injury.
That's something. But no, but he's also a guy too where if he's okay. Obviously, the Marlins are going to have 2 runners on bases. Okay. Now, will he strike out 3 batters and get out of it? We'll find out. Hopefully that's what happens here.
Wish you could get odds on that. Will they have 2 base runners this inning?
Oh, I know. that would be something. Or will he throw more than 50% strikes or balls?
Looks like you helped him out there with the first one.
On the strike, yeah, on the swing.
Well, we're about 40 minutes in. I think it's time we take a break. You want to give a message and then we'll take a break?
That sounds like a good idea to take a break. And thank everyone for listening to us. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris right here on IE Sports Radio. IE Sports Radio is your direct feed for all that is sports. And before we take a break, guys, I want to talk to you about something. I want to talk to you about the Southern California Warriors. The Southern California Warriors are a semi-pro football team. Me and Cash are here in Philadelphia, but we support the Southern California Warriors because we support semi-pro sports. Semi-pro sports are unlike any other sports organization. Players pay in hopes that in the future there can be different outcomes for them paying and playing these games. They can get filmed to try out for professional teams. They can get filmed to try out for big league or big-time college teams. Or these guys are just playing for the love of the game and playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that is playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances ever since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you love sports, you may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Or if you know somebody who wants the second chance, check out semi-pro sports and also check into the Southern California Warriors. Check them out on Twitter at SoCal Warriors. That's on Twitter at SoCal Warriors. They're also on Instagram at Southern California Warriors, and you can check them out on Facebook at Southern California Warriors. IE Sports Radio, Cash and Chris, we support the SoCal Warriors. You guys need to do the same.
And we'll be right back.
See you guys in a few minutes.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome in to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and you're listening to IE Sports Radio. If you like big, nasty hits, if you like slap shots straight to the neck, if you like it when the gloves hit the ice and the big boys get down, then this is your show. On IE Sports Radio, this is the Neutral Zone. May our shots on goal always be true and straight to the net. If they are not, may they be followed up, redirected, or change collected. Let's go on IE Sports Radio with me, your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and this is the Neutral Zone.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, everyone, to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris. The Phillies are in the top of the ninth. They lead 2-0 and looking to add some insurance runs here with McCutchen leading off against Detweiler. We were just talking during the break about the Marlins, their stadium, their fans, their lack of fans, and possibility of them relocating or even talking about relocating. And you brought up Vegas. That wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, they can play them games out there in 113-degree weather, but yeah, I'm surprised that hasn't been mentioned. If the Marlins relocating somewhere,
I don't know. They must have some kind of long-term deal with the city for the stadium, maybe. Because I know they didn't pay for the stadium. The city paid for the stadium, Miami. So maybe,
yeah, it just seems like if baseball hasn't caught on down there.
Maybe they committed to staying there for a certain amount of time. It seems like when they make the playoffs in the World Series that people go, but I don't know if that's tourists going to the games or they pay actors to go. What was the one team that was paying people to go? I was just talking about this. They're
They might have to do that come August in Philadelphia.
Well, once they get the restrictions lifted, I think people will go just for the novelty of going to a game.
True.
But that should wear off, though.
Yeah, it should, but hopefully this team, if they get healthy and the players start producing like expected, maybe some of the pitching can turn around. I mean, if Vince Velasquez can turn around, anybody can turn around.
Did you see what I just saw? McCutchen just swung at a 3-0 pitch.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Because he's been knocking the cover off the ball.
Yeah, and he swings at the ball 4. thousands in the crowd. I don't think he wants to walk here.
I think he's a little upset that he was sitting tonight.
Yeah, he's determined to either strike out or or fly.
Yeah, well, we'll see what he can do on the 3-2 pitch. Probably this pitch will be a foul ball, and then we'll go to the next one because it seems like 80% of 3-2 pitches, the next pitch is a foul ball.
There it is, foul ball.
And foul ball. Yep. I don't know if you've ever known that, but that's usually what happens.
Yeah, it's usually a strike, and it's usually swinging. So.
Yep. And the Mets have taken the lead in New York over the Rockies 3-1, so that game's probably over.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at the Brooklyn score. They're still blowing them up by 25 in the third.
Not that it's any huge deficit or anything, but when you look at the standings, the Phillies have dropped to fourth place.
Yeah, they're still with a game and a half.
Yeah, Andrew McCutchen just needs that was one of the worst at bats I've ever seen.
Ever. Look at this. He was determined to walk him, and he was determined to strike out.
Yep.
And McCutchen won that battle.
He sure did. Hey, what did you think of the race this weekend? I mean, you did pick the winner.
I did. I mean, that's Chase Elliott. He was the favorite, but he's been dominant in road courses, and he continued his dominance. I was impressed with Austin Cindric leading majority of the race, coming from the Xfinity Series. He's a long-time road course racer, even though he's only in his early 20s. He's raced all over the world. And he was very comfortable with the wet track, and he didn't want to put on the rain tires, but his crew chief made him. And then they stopped the race early because of rain, even though they were racing in the rain. I think after the Martin Truex crash, they got nervous and they didn't want anybody getting hurt. Did you see that crash, Truex?
It's amazing that it's amazing how those guys can do that now and not be seriously injured.
I mean, I don't even call Cole Custer even checked up. I think he hit him full speed.
I know.
From behind. He's lucky he hit that padded area because the a little further down the track, that same spot wasn't padded on the fence there.
No, you're exactly right. That would have been a problem. They're off this week. Are they off this weekend?
It seems like every week we talk about it. I always have to get the staff to find.
I think they are.
Yeah.
Were they in Charlotte this weekend? I don't know why.
Well, they're usually in Charlotte 4th of July weekend, aren't they?
Yeah. No, they're in Charlotte. They're in Charlotte. It's a Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah. Well, the 600. Oh yeah, the 600 is usually the same weekend as the Indy 500, which is also this weekend.
Right.
Where Tony Stewart used to run both. He used to fly down from Indianapolis. He would race 1,100 miles.
Typical weekend for him.
So the Coca-Cola 600. This would have been an easy pick 5 years ago, Jimmy Johnson. 600. I'm going to go with a young guy. I'm going to go with Alex Bowman. Yeah, he's driving the 48.
Get his fifth win on the NASCAR circuit this weekend.
Yeah, just like in Dover, the 48 dominated there, and it's the same car. So I'll look for either Alex Bowman, maybe a Kyle Larson.
Well, I'll go along with you. I'm gonna go with Bowman as well to win it. You've been right on the last couple of races, and I think that's not a bad way to look at this one. If it's not going to be Bowman, and you want to look to maybe a possible veteran, I would think that this type of race is one where Harvick can break through, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I stay away from Harvick because it's 600 miles. I feel like at his age, he might wear down.
No, you're probably right. That's why I said if he's going to have a breakthrough, it might possibly be this one. But you're right. It could be with the 600 miles where there could be a problem. You could see someone totally unexpected win it. You mentioned last week of AJ Allmendinger. He was in contention a little bit this past weekend.
Yeah, he ran top 10 a little bit. He's always in contention at the road course tracks. I'm pulling up.
He
pulling up the odds now.
NASCAR name.
AJ?
Yeah. No, I think Almondinger.
The dinger.
Isn't that something you can get at your local deli, though?
A dinger?
An Almondinger. Yeah.
I mean, now you want to, Bowman's coming at 14-1 this week, so
That's not
a
bad.
$50 bet will return $700.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. I was telling you before this.
If you place that bet, you know what's going to happen.
What is it? Oh, crash!
Hopefully not. Hopefully you don't.
I usually wait till the race starts.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully that jinx doesn't come in.
Yeah, I was telling you before the show. I watched another WW. I'm hesitant to say E or F. I guess it was WWF when the Ultimate Warrior was a wrestler. I watched another A&E biography. It was a really good show. If anybody's listening to go out there and look at A&E on your on demand. It was a really interesting life story of the Ultimate Warrior and the intensity and of himself, and how he stayed to himself most of the time, and he felt like it was him versus the world, and you feel bad for these guys watching back when you're watching them as a kid. They were your heroes, and you were so impressed with what they did. And then when you watch the story, you had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. And I know you know more about behind the scenes than I do, but I'm just seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, it was interesting too, growing up being a wrestling fan, and what we talked about earlier before we came on the show was the fact that here where I live, a local station on Saturday nights at midnight would play the World Class Championship Wrestling, which came out of Fort Worth, Texas, out of their big shows they ran in Reunion Arena down there, but there was a building down there called the Sportatorium that was around for a while. And that was where the Von Erichs were the main faces of World Class Championship Wrestling. But at one point there was a guy there named the Dingo Warrior, and he was the one who ultimately became the Ultimate Warrior. And also we got here, it may have been on the same station or another one, but we used to get the UWF wrestling as well. And Ultimate Warrior went to UWF, and he was in tag team with Steve Orton, who is Sting. But they were the Blade Runners, Rock and Blade. And right on cue, Roman Quinn into the game for the Phillies, as we called earlier.
It's funny. Listening to you talk, you're pretty much, you didn't even watch it, and it's pretty much like watching it over again.
Yeah, I didn't watch that, but I do remember, and it was really interesting too to see him and Sting back then, and just how different they looked compared. Because in the '80s, I mean, there were a few guys who looked like the bodybuilders.
Yep.
Kerry Von Erich being one of them. But my goodness, those two guys, they looked like they stepped right out of Gold's gym.
Well, that's what the Ultimate Warrior was, a bodybuilder, and he was winning competitions, and it was just They sent a picture of 4 wrestlers to, I think it was the WCW, right? Is that where it started, WCW?
Well, WCCW.
WCCW. They sent a picture of 4 guys, and they said, "Send me the 2 guys on the outside," which was, like you said, it was Sting and it was the Ultimate Warrior. And they got in their car and they drove. And he said his car was an old taxi with 400,000 miles on it, and they were eating ramen noodles and working for $100 a show. So, these guys all put their time in, all these wrestlers.
Well, that was back in the day. That was called paying your dues.
Right.
That's what it was. It was more an idea of wrestling being a closed, almost exclusive club, and breaking in wasn't easy to do. And once you did, you didn't just come in and have it easy. You had to pay your dues and do those things. And I had done that as a little bit. I mean, I didn't do a whole lot of in-ring wrestling, but I had traveled 180, 200 miles to wrestle on a show for $20. I had done that in the past, but that was just for more of the fact that I was as much a fan of anything and did it for enjoyment, not thinking I was ever going to become a wrestling star. But a few occasions I had done that.
Wow.
And,
were you ever in the ring with anybody that we know?
The most interesting story that I can tell was I was not in the ring with anybody who you would know, but on a number of shows, and I actually became decent friends with him, was King Kong Bundy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mr. Chris Chalice. It was sad when he passed away. That was not something that was expected as well. I mean, I know he was a bigger guy. He did have a few health issues, but the first ever wrestling show that I was on, it was a benefit show. It was in North Jersey for kids who lived in a group home, and it was actually put on in the parking lot. And I worked for a woman, I don't know if she's still involved in wrestling or not. Her name was Kathy Bell, and the wrestling promotion was Worldwide Wrestling at the time, Triple W. Mm-hmm. And it was me and a friend of mine in a tag team match against two other guys who we knew as well. And we were scheduled to be the first match on the show, but the first thing that started the show was Battle Royal, so we went out there, we had this Battle Royal. Once that was over, we were scheduled to be the first match on the show, this tag team match. And I'm standing there waiting for the introduction to go down, and this huge arm is put around him. and it's King Kong Bundy. Now, he was the one who was the feature on this show, and I didn't say a word to him in the back or anything like that. And he came up to me and he said, "Son, I need you to go down to ringside and tell Kathy my match is the first match because I have another booking in 3 hours."
And another venue?
Yes.
Wow.
So this is like 1:20 in the afternoon.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go tell the promoter what's going on, or I'm gonna do what King Kong Bundy. I'm gonna do something that King Kong Bundy go against what he just told me. So I walked down there and told her. Unfortunately, she said, "Okay, go back and tell him I'll announce his match next." Wow. And ever since then, he had some other people who I worked for who had done what's called wrestling independent shows and all. He was on a number of them, and we just got to have a good friendship. He actually wrestled at the biggest show we ever had here in my hometown. So it was an interesting relationship with him. But ever since then, he was impressed I had the guts to do that, but also was impressed that I did what he wanted and was willing to understand. Yeah, he's a veteran. I'll do that. But he didn't realize that was the first ever wrestling show I was on.
That's funny that the Battle Royal started the
yes,
used to be the main events, right?
Yeah, it used to be, and a lot of those shows, independent shows, they would do that just to get a lot of the guys out there so people could see them and come to the ring and do something before it was like their first time out there. A lot of the new guys or a lot of guys who maybe the fans hadn't seen before. And yeah, my partner that day, it was one of those things to where us being scheduled for the first match, you go into it, you lock up with some guys, you're going through the Battle Royal motion, you just say, "Hey, go ahead and throw me out. I'm in the first match." You can throw us over. And that was one of the things. Me and my partner did that, and the person who threw my partner out, he threw him out and he landed tailbone first on the steps. Oh. So it was like, that didn't look too good.
They predetermined who the winner was?
What's that?
Did they predetermine the winner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, there was a story on one of the shows that I was on where it was announced the winner of the Battle Royal would receive $10,000, and the person actually thought he was getting $10,000 for winning that battle. when he got the $25 in the envelope, he was a little bit surprised. Why $10,000? Why don't you announce it's $100,000 to the winner?
Yeah, right. We're hanging on here, folks. We're going to stay on until the Phillies game ends. It's down to the last strike.
Yes, 3-2, count, bottom of the ninth.
That's a grounder there.
And a ground ball, this should do it.
Mayton throws it away.
First, great play. Oh.
Throws it away.
I guess that's going to be a base hit, though.
That's what happens when you have a guy they shouldn't be in the majors playing shortstop.
Yeah. Now does Neris give up the home run ball?
I won't be one bit surprised.
Now, here's the thing, though, where if you go back now, if you have, and I know using Mariano Rivera is not the person to put up here, but if you have a guy who's a dominant closer, this is when he bears down and strikes the next guy out. He picks his teammate up.
Right.
And he just, you just look back at Mayton and say, "I got this, don't worry about it, kid."
I'm not going to pinch
We'll
run.
see what happens
Why would
here.
you? Why would you pinch run for a good hitter here? That doesn't make any sense. That run means nothing.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't.
They just took Garrett Cooper out of the game.
Hey,
And of course, it's a lefty. And who is it? Who's batting for the Marlins? Probably a power hitter off the bench.
it's not Dickerson, is it? I hope
I
not.
don't know. I think it might be. Looks like a long. Yep, it's Dickerson.
Yeah, Philly.
Yep.
Oh, this should be real interesting.
Yeah, I could already see it going into the right field seats. And a long fly ball, deep center field. Looks like it's going to stay in the park. He got away with
Well,
one.
Dickerson is not the most intelligent player right there because you could sit on a couple pitches from Neris because he's going to try to get you with that splitter.
Yeah. He got away with one there. Phillies won a game with 2 hits. First time since 2018.
Who started that game? It was probably Nola.
3-1, they beat the Mets. They scored 3 runs on 2 hits.
Number of walks, I guess. Walks or errors. I guess Nola probably started that game.
Yeah. Reese Hoskins with the game-winning hit.
What date was that game?
I don't know, I didn't see it.
So the Phillies stay in pace in the National League East here tonight.
Yeah, that's just one win. There'll be plenty more losses where that came from. They'll probably get swept this weekend in Tampa.
Oh, that's going to... well, I don't know. They got Zach Wheeler pitching one of those games,
Yeah.
but then again...
They couldn't beat Tampa last year when Tampa wasn't even throwing a lineup out there.
No, you're exactly right. And I guess Nola's throwing tomorrow.
Yippee.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, he'll give up more runs before he gets an out tomorrow, probably, than Vince gave up tonight. Hopefully not. Hopefully he finds whatever it was that was working for him in the past. I want to see if I can't find that real quick and see who pitched that game. Phillies, Mets, and that was 7,
I don't have the remote on me to rewind it.
9, 18. And man, I don't know if it'll just come up or not.
It should.
And here we go. Box score. Well, here it says the game was the Phillies lost that game 7-9, 2018. It says the Phillies lost that game 4-3. That wasn't. Is there a doubleheader that game? Let me see.
Phillies broadcast spreading bad information.
I don't know, because here it came up that they lost that game 4-3. In July 9, 2018. But Cash, this says here, Philadelphia Phillies and New York Mets, box score, July 9, 2018. The Phillies lost that game 4-3, and the Phillies were 49 and 39 at that point. Wow.
49. Wow, yeah. And that's still, that was Gage. Yeah, 7-9, 2018.
What they have on here is wrong.
On the broadcast?
Yes.
Yeah, I just rewound it. It did say 7-9, 2018. Oh. I guess they could just put up whatever they want. They don't expect you to fact check it.
Yeah, because that's not correct. Okay, for everyone listening in, we'll try and figure out when that was, or if they correct that. But,
Yeah, I see the same thing you see. 4-3, 4 runs, 7 hits, 3 runs, 10 hits.
And Victor Arano took the loss.
Nick Williams went 3 for 5 that night.
Wow.
And Andrew Knapp started a catcher. He's been on the Phillies that long.
Yeah, Andrew Knapp's been around for a while.
Aaron Altair actually got an at-bat for the Phillies in that game.
Huh? And the Phillies were 10 games over 500 after losing that game that late in July 2018. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. How'd that season end up for them, though?
Not making the playoffs.
Yeah. Looks like we're looking at 10 years again without making the playoffs. So I'm just expecting Atlanta to get hot. And the Mets, I guess DeGrom was back tonight, right? I think DeGrom pitched tonight.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I can look that up real quick before we get off here. Seeing how the Mets are doing. They were up 3-1. They're still up 3-1. Let me see here. The Mets. It was Jacob DeGrom. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts. So, all thanks for him.
Yeah, only nine Ks.
Yeah, through 5 innings. I mean, obviously coming back from injury, he was limited tonight. And he came out of the game and it was tied. So obviously he wasn't going to win again.
Wow.
But the Mets might end up winning that game, though.
As will Brooklyn. Brooklyn's going to cruise to victory. Jason Tatum was my pick for my best over tonight, over 30.5. He scored 9. So
wow.
Bobby Cash saved some cash on that one.
Yeah, some struggles up there in Boston, but couldn't happen to a nicer team.
Yeah. 117-95 with 6:42 to go in the fourth. So Brooklyn will jump to a 2-0 lead in that one.
Yeah, I'll be getting the Lakers on here soon. That should be an interesting game coming up.
Definitely. You're going to have two LA teams playing at the same time.
Yeah, interesting. I would expect the Suns. I look for the Suns to win and the Clippers to bounce back tonight.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Yeah, Phoenix a 2-point favorite. Or no, the Lakers are a 2-point favorite, right?
I believe the Suns are the 2-point favorite. I can check, though. I'm not positive. I would have to check here.
I know the Clippers are a 7-point favorite.
Trying to bring this up.
I would take Dallas there to cover that 7. Probably a Clippers win, but not by more than 6. I don't think.
Yeah, the Wizards actually covered the other night.
Yeah, by a half.
Yep, by a half. You are correct. Let me see here for the. Now where? All right. LB. Well, bring up NBA, please. Yeah. I can't find it.
Let me see. It should be right on my home screen.
Yeah, not here. Yeah, it's not on DraftKings.
I got it. Yeah, the Lakers. It's the Lakers -2.
-2, okay.
210.5 is the over/under. That's a really low over/under. I know it's playoff basketball, but jeez.
Yeah, it is. It is a really low one.
They're expecting another defensive battle? Wow.
I would say the over.
Yeah, I'd give you the over, too. 210.5. It's 106, 105. All right, well, it's 9:37. I think we need to get off for the next show, so.
Yeah, we have a boxing show that's following us tonight at 10 o'clock.
That's right. Listen in for that on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all of the sports.
Yes, and as we finish here tonight, remind everyone that you have been listening to Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris right here on IE Sports Radio. IE Sports Radio is your direct feed for all the sports. And before we leave, let me remind everybody once again about the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed, to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances ever since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you love your sport, you may get that second chance that you've been waiting for as an athlete. Or if you know someone who deserves a second chance as an athlete, have them look into semi-pro sports. And also, you yourself or anybody who you're talking to, have them check out the Southern California Warriors. Check them out on Twitter at SoCal Warriors. That's on Twitter at SoCal Warriors. You can find them also on Facebook at Southern California Warriors. They're also available on Instagram from IE Sports Radio Instagram. You can also find the SoCal Warriors. They're a semi-pro team. Check them out. Semi-Pro Sports gives everybody a second chance. Semi-Pro Sports is for the love of the game. Check out the Southern California Warriors today. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Stay tuned for Gloves Off with Marcus at 10 p.m. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.